Okay, we're talking about belief systems. Religion would be a belief system. Ideas and scientific method and theory, as opposed to belief systems, contrary to belief systems. It's 2012, and right now, a lot of people are waking up to a lot of new things. You know, some of them good, some of them bad. I mean, we got the Illuminati, we got the Anunnaki, which is one of my favorites. I think that's cool. We've got the concept of religion, contrary to, well, generally it's referred to as contrary to atheism, but it's, you know, contrary to, I guess, secularism, or is that a word? secular ideas, systems, or religious systems. Right now, people are starting to wake up to that. It's part of the information age. Of course, this is a little side note. I don't want to digress, but a lot of people say we're more advanced now than we've ever been, you know, technology and whatnot. Well, that's true for a period of time, but actually, you know, the pyramid builders were just as advanced, and I think information was probably as readily available. But our new system right now, which is the internet, as long as we keep the internet free, not regulated by the government or system or whatever, what is that, the privacy, non-pirating, whatever, pirating, that's an equalizer anyway, so that's my little spiel right there. So keep the internet free, and we can have this information. But basically what I'm talking about is belief systems. Now, if you go from a belief system, it's hard to be objective. In fact, it's impossible to be objective when you have a steady belief system that you adhere to beyond anything, a reasonable doubt or even unreasonable doubt. And that's usually, we'll start here. Most belief systems that people have, generally 85% of the people are going to have a belief system that they didn't quite work on. Not to say that they're lazy or dumb or anything like that, but generally it's something that from the first 10 years now, see, as humans, it's generally categorized, or at least theoretically put, that we have certain epochs in our brain's evolution now. I'm going to take for granted that we understand the concept of neuroplasticity, which means that we have minds that kind of change depending on what it is that we normally think. Okay, stoner is going to be more practiced at thinking like a stoner, and an engineer is going to be more practiced at thinking like an engineer. We've actually seen people such as Einstein and I forget the other individual's name, the guy who became the human calculator, I think. I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn, but people who were seen at one time as extremely ignorant in a particular subject, just continually working on it until their mind became adapt to it, and then they become somewhat of a genius in that particular field. And it's a rare instance, but it's exactly what I'm referring to, and that's neuroplasticity. It means what we do the most, we become within our minds. And so most people, they start out within the first 10 years of our lifetime. We'll consider an epoch, the first epoch. I'm not sure of the definition, but just bear with me for the fun this time. This epoch, and it's 1 to 5, and then 5 to 10, and that would be 1 in subset. 1 to 5, of course, you learn how to walk, eat, chew. I mean, you learn everything, and then you start learning how to speak, and you basically develop as a child, as a human being. Not quite as an individual yet, but you do pick up what you pick up. That's what generally people will go with for the retainer of their life. Now, that's the exception of that, of course, is about 10 to 20, or we'll say you know, it's anywhere from 8 to 11 to you know, adolescence, you know, maturity on into full 21, 23, 18 through 23 would be full maturity. That phase in time is where you're going to get most of your belief system, your structured belief system. Now, a lot of these things are going to come from people who told you, and I speak when I say you, I mean you generally, of course, and I'm referencing, this is just what I believe, so you don't have to believe it's a fact or anything, but it's all theoretical, I'm sure. But basically what it is, you know, someone that at one point told you something. Got to eat everything that's on your plate. Sinners go to hell. There is a hell. Never mind. Sorry about that. But you know, whatever, you know, and it for some reason struck out in your head and your mind, and we find this to be relatively arbitrary. Depends on the mood at the time, what kind of drugs you were on, what kind of drugs you weren't on, or whatever was going on, or the intensity of the individual who told you whatever kind of lie or truth it was at that time. That's what you hold on to. So from about from birth to about 18, 19 to 23 is when you develop your structuralized belief system in general, in reference or in terms of, you know, a lifespan of neuroplasticity, or at least an evolving mind. So a lot of those things, and generally about 85% of the people, at least I'm also at this point talking about Americans a lot of times, but I think it's just pretty much worldwide, have a tendency to go with whatever they were taught in youth. And then that brings us to the third epoch, which is from 20 to 30. I'm sorry, that's the second, it is third, so there's 4 epochs, pardon myself. When I was referring earlier, I said I believe this or there's 3, but if I didn't, then I just made a fool of myself for no reason. But the third epoch is from 20 to 30. That's when you become an individual as far as the exact ins and outs, you know, how you tie your shoe, left one first or right foot first. Whether you put your pants on upside down or right side up, whether or not you say aunt or auntie, things of that nature that make you a person, an individual, as it were. That's going to happen after maturity. And then this also goes into like what you're going to be for the rest of your life. You know, what kind of job you're going to have. Are you going to be, you know, a slacker, or, you know, are you going to panhandle, or are you going to be a tarot reader, or are you going to be a mathematician, or whatever, go on. You know, however many great jobs America has. But anyways, so that would be the third epoch. But basically, at this point, you've already developed most of your structured belief system, which is what we're referring to, although I may digress. And that's going to be, you know, basically, you know, Christian ideology runs thick. I'm from the South. Christian ideology runs real thick in here. I know a lot of people are down here, down horror. But anyways, I know a lot of people who have within them ingrained concepts that are strictly, well, I won't say strictly, but are merely as a result of their Christian upbringing, and they don't even claim to be Christian, profess not to be Christians, and may even have a slight aversion towards it, but still have within them ingrained the basic ideologies behind Christianity, which I do digress, but that's actually, you know, the concepts behind Christianity is actually Egyptian. Part of that is pagan. It's seen as a pagan religion by the Judeo-Islamic point of view, and in fact it actually is. Only by, never mind, I digress. Only by reference in academically, if you were to look at it. But anyway, so these ideas or concepts are actually really old, but what they do, and the only reason I'm bringing all of that up is because it's kind of natural for humans as a what's the word, colonial, specifically as opposed to tribal, but tribal and colonial, we have a tendency to go towards what we have gone towards in the history of mankind, which seems logically to fit. But that would be in terms of like mythologically, and if you want to understand mythology, it doesn't mean it's a lie. A lot of people have a misconception of mythology. Mythology is actually a great thing. America doesn't have a mythology except for the Matrix and Star Wars, but those are pretty good ones. But if you're interested in that, look at Joseph Campbell. But he's considered a genius in his own right, but he was strictly about mythology, and he understood what it was intrinsically or inherently part of himself. And what I'm referring to is age-old concepts are generally taken in, readily regurgitated constantly by parents to children, and that's what they grow up with having had. See, what had happened was, and that may be right, may be wrong. A lot of times it's generally good for the social structure, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this individual put any work into it. Now that brings on 30 to death, which is the last epoch, in which you just kind of, basically you've already been programmed, you run in, you figure out, you know how to do this, how to tie your shoes, all this and that. You tie your shoe left or right foot first every freaking time. And some people are going to do it differently. And it goes on beyond that, because our mind is, we got to think about everything you do throughout the day. You got routines, and you got a system of beliefs. A lot of times, at this point in time, you're not even aware of the belief systems that you hold within yourself. You just automatically do what it is that you were told to do at youth, or within the reference to these epochs, which again, theoretical, it's just a frame of reference. And that's basically what we go by. Now, the topic of this discussion is belief systems, religion, and the concept of objectivity. And two, make a segue is into scientific thought or scientific progress, or at least what I would feel to be progress for the evolution of the human species, which I'm all about. Okay, so this is the idea. So you're going along, you're told that we were, and please don't take this wrong, I was brought up as a Christian, Church of Christ, Southern Church of Christ, and so we were relatively strict. They call us Bible thumpers in the Bible Belt, and so I'm going to use that as just a hypothetical way that you can reference what I'm saying, or maybe understand what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm not picking on anybody or anything, because I probably do it with another religion, but I'm just going to use this one because it's most natural for me. This is how I grew up. So you grow up and you have ideas such as, and this is Christian, but I'm not picking on Christians, that you are born in sin, and that you need to be baptized, or you need to come to the point where you believe in Jesus Christ as your Savior, and that if you do wrong things when you die, that bad things are going to happen to you. Sometimes an offshoot of that is what they erroneously call karma, that if you do bad things, bad things will happen to you in this lifetime and in the next lifetime, and that's actually, a Hindu or an old Indian, specifically Indian, not Native American belief, but it's anyways, one thing. And then, or it's one of the more common used, karma, everybody knows about karma, but most of the time it's erroneously thought of. But that's another topic for another time. Things like that you kind of grow up with, so you don't even think about that, or at least I've noticed that, and a lot of my friends, they kind of, I refer to them, I'm talking to them and this and that, and they're just kind of like, yeah, well, I can't think of anything specific right now, but it's like, oh, I stole that the other day, and that's why, it's something comes up missing, like, man, I had a bad day. It's probably because I was mean to that person, or it's like, a lot of times they, they have a tendency to, and they don't always express this outright, but you can tell that there is a sense of shame or guilt, or that they know, like, when they do something wrong, they're like, oh, God forgive me, or whatever. You just offhandedly, they probably didn't even notice they said it, but you can tell what that is a little bit of shame, or pardon self. It's actually guilt. Guilt is in reference to the third party, and shame is actually in reference to self, or at least that's how I define it in this particular session. So you can see those things that are inherently built within them. Now what this does is this makes a person, and that's your left brain thinking. A lot of this I'm getting from, I'm not going to cite references right now, but that is left brain thought. Which your left is your analytical, your system structuralized, mathematical, and linear thought. Okay, that's actually a lot of masculine thought or male thought has a tendency to flow from the left, whereas the right would be more artistic, abstract, not linear. I can't actually say what the exact word for the polar opposite of linear would be, because it's definitely not circular, but it would be more abstract thought, artistic thought, new ideas and different things, such as, I go shopping, I'm looking for something for my girlfriend, I get something in my head on the way there, I'm like panties or makeup, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, so I go in there, I'm looking for panties and makeup, I have to actually think outside of it. I'm like, actually have to tell myself, oh, what about this or that, and there's something that strikes my eyes, so I should look good in that, or whatever, which is, whatever, how how rare it is, it's, males. But as opposed to female who goes in, and actually I have to cite this reference, because this is actually what do they call them? Can you tell the story? Anyways, this is actually, I'm almost quoting the individual who wrote Evolve Your Brain. I can't think of his name. I think it's, I don't want to try it, but Evolve Your Brain. This is what he was saying. So when you go shopping with a female, it's like, she's thinking, oh, okay, we can do this, we can do this, oh, we can use that when we're going to go to, freaking India next year, or whatever. You're not even planning to go to India. Something you talked about 3 nights before when you drinking and smoking pot or whatever it is you don't do. And You know what I mean? But she thinks like that, so that would be more what I mean by non-linear thought, and that's right side, right brain. But it can be actually more holistic thought, and actually, we actually find that women use more of their brain, having a tendency to think this way. The idea is to combine the two, but that's the difference in the two. So your linear, well, yeah, your linear, your left side of your brain will think along the lines of, okay, this is this and that is that. Okay, now that actually objects slightly, or can have a tendency to retard scientific development or growth or evolution of the mind, self, or even as a species, ourselves as a whole, as an entity, which we are, I believe, personally. And so my topic of discussion again, I gotta remind myself this. I'm not on any drugs right now, but anyways, we have to think along what that does is has a tendency to make us think, okay, well, it's this way or that way, this way. What we maybe have heard of is inside the box. What would be inside the box? Well, we want to think outside of the bun, right? It's kind of funny. That's a little irony from a commercial and training me to say things like that. But anyways, that is a story for another time. So what we want to do is, I'm not saying anti-religion or anti-God. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that the idea of structuralized belief systems that cannot be amended with the coming of new knowledge. That's what we want to try to avoid, and this is, again, in my opinion, that's what we want to try to avoid. Well, the first thing you got to do is try to figure out what it is that you believe in that you don't know you believe in, right? Known, knowns, known unknowns. You know, everybody's heard Samuel Jackson on the Boondocks. You got known unknowns. You got known, whatever. Anyways, it's ridiculous. I'm embarrassing myself. But anyways, so what you got to do is figure those out. You know, usually this is the way I did it with myself when I went back and tried to reprogram my mind, or at least wash my brain. Yeah, more or less. Is when I noticed that there were certain things. I do a lot of times, and I don't know if you can catch this. Pay attention if you start thinking about your thoughts. Now, see, I've been diagnosed with something of a schizoaffective is my diagnostic or diagnosis, and I don't know what that means. But basically, I hear disembodied voices, and generally they're commenting on what I'm thinking. So I've been forced to look back into myself and see what I'm thinking. A lot of people, you sit there in the car, within day-to-day thought, when you're around people in any stressful situation, particularly because your brain's programmed to do this. But in any situation or any point in time, you kind of just think, and you don't really. There's no observer there. Of course, there is an observer, but you're not really aware of it. And now, I was forced to be aware of everything that I thought because I had this concept in my mind, which actually leads nicely into what I'm referring to. So we'll use this as a hypothetical reference point, and that's that I thought everybody could hear what exactly I was thinking. Now, I'm sure not. I'm not sure whether or not that's the case today, and I know that seems like something that you maybe wanting to turn this video off with some fool that would actually say that, but I have been diagnosed. But anyways, which means this. I don't do jokes. Anyways, so I started thinking that at least one point in time I had this thought, and this was earlier in my youth, and yes, at that point in time I was in heavy usage, but everything that I thought was aware instantly. Everybody that was around me was aware instantly of whatever crossed my mind, including feelings and emotions and things that I weren't even thinking, like not even vocally, but just kind of became aware of instantly. Things that were emotions, things that were thoughts or feelings. You know, I had to adjust myself, we'll say, or I felt a little bit of infatuation or a little bit of disgust towards another individual. They were instantly aware of that, and they knew it, and they would actually, let it be known to me that they were aware of what it was I thought. So at this point in time, I had to be aware of everything that crossed my mind. And I noticed that after a while, there were lots of things that I would do just in natural behavior, but I would go back to something that happened in like the second, third grade, kindergarten. As a child, shit, I didn't even remember what really happened, who it was that said it to me, or what the hell was really going on in that situation. Pardon my language. But, yeah, I know I said hell, pardon my language. Anyways, this is for everybody, the whole family, but I'm sure the kids are already asleep now. I'm sure you are too, but we'll keep going. We strive on. But, you know, these things that were coming up, like I would do something, and I remember like something that happened in the second grade, you know, every time. And I'm like, why do I have these thoughts like these? I'm 26, 7 years old, man. Well, I could always forget how old I am, but you know, it's like I'm like, well, why am I thinking about something happening? You know, from some douchebag that told me something in the 8th grade. I didn't believe it. You know what I mean? But it stuck out for some arbitrary reason. Well, first that's where you start out. You go back in those, go back to those times, and well, I'm sure that this is actually something that's out there, but it's what I actually just conjured up on my own. Is that you go back in that time and go back into a state of meditation. I'm actually practicing meditation and things of that nature, self-hypnosis to some respect. I don't like bark like a chicken or anything, but I'm sure I could make you. No, I'm just joking. Probably not, unless you want to bark like a chicken. But anyways, this is not about pornography. So what we're doing is going back in time to those references. And maybe you don't remember the exact moment, but there were things like, whenever you think, okay, I can't, I'm trying to think, don't steal people's money, okay? That seems like a pretty common thing, but if you see them going around stealing people's hats and stealing people's luggage and stealing people's underwear and stealing people's whatever, but you just don't steal their money because that's, it's just, that's when you become, freaking one of those people, you know what I mean? Well, that's because you have this old idea, basically probably somebody or somewhere at some point in time, most likely, someone stole money from you, it's like, since anyways, you develop that from some point in time. If you can pinpoint that point in time, you go back to that point in time, and when someone stole that money or whenever it affected you in that way, you go back and just try to mend it in a deep state of meditation and do that multiple times, or at least, sometimes you do it once, sometimes you do it a few times. And you can start to wash over those things, okay? Now, it's not like it didn't happen, but what it ends up actually becoming, the result is you lose some of those programs that are in us, okay? I'm going to take this moment out to speak about the programming that America in particular, I can't speak on behalf of the rest of the world, but they program you and they program our kids. Disney Channel, in my opinion, is one of the worst, but it gets pretty bad, particularly with cartoons. Now, I haven't owned the TV in 3 years. Okay, it's not like I just run around like a lunatic with my head cut off. I do watch Netflix. I do watch documentaries. I watch a lot of Hulu now, or pardon myself, YouTube now, because they got hour-long videos about God knows what. So I've got the same kind of programming. In fact, you can go back and look at any kind of research that's been developed, particularly advertising. What I was in CDES, as in commercial. Commercial design and entertainment and things that you're going into basically making commercials and advertisements and PR, personal relationships, things like that. They actually have it down to a fine art system. I'm sure I know there's algorithms that go out there and basically say, okay, when your brain sees this many amount of times, it's going to naturally think that you don't even know that you're thinking that. You know what I mean? And it's already programmed in there. Now, this is what we call programming. Now, America is raw with that. Okay, I've got my opinions about why and wherefore this is, and so do a lot of people. But again, 85% of the people don't really know it, don't really care about it. Now, this is the program that I'm referring to. Now, I'm not trying to make this out to be a monster. It's a normal condition for any human or any kind of, what would you say, Homo sapiens to survive, assuming that we're mostly Homo sapiens. Anyways. And it's really not that bad of a thing, but it's something we need to be aware of, because we have inside yourself inherent programming that is not necessarily conducive to scientific growth, conducive to mind or self-evolution, particularly and first and foremost, but also as a species. For example, the concept of revelation and Armageddon. Okay, well, first of all, just for those who are wanting to know, revelation, actually, there's not anything to say that the common conception or the interpretation of revelation is what we consider it to be, which means basically we understand the story of Revelation. It was John, who was I believe it was John, if it's not, pardon me, but I believe it was John, who was exiled onto an island, and basically was if you think about that, he probably starving, he might have ate some mushrooms, I don't know, but he had a vision. Okay, and what a vision is basically a hallucination or something that is not actually viscerally or can be considered empirically real, that he went through. It was a travel, it was a journey. Now, see, I wouldn't understand it as an astral journey that he went through and came out of and was able to record, God help him. And that's what we have as revelations. Now, people will interpret it this way and that way, and the tendency is to go by what this man said and that man said. But how do they know? They don't know. Jesus said, "I will speak to you, and you will not know. You will not, or you who have ears." Well, I don't remember. I'm making a fool of myself. Basically, Jesus was cool about it, though. He was like, "I'm gonna tell you, and you're not gonna know what I'm talking about, but you're gonna know what I'm talking about." Okay, and you can take that or leave it because that was real sloppy. But basically, no man or woman can interpret precisely what happened in Revelation. You can't add on, can't take away. I'm paraphrasing greatly, but those of you who, at least, anyways, blah blah blah. Revelation could be about an individual. This is one interpretation that I've heard. I believe it's a Gnostic interpretation. That is, Revelation is about one individual's coming into self and maturity, what I'm referring to right now, and coming into the realization that God is real and who we are as individuals and self. And they can interpret the whole thing and put it down, what they would consider, rightly into what they're referring to. You also look at Revelation as one man's idea what the hell was going on at that period of time, which is, what a logical person would think of if that were to happen today. Anyways, there's lots of things, you know what I mean? So we have this common idea, particularly among Americans, like the world's going to end. There are lots of Americans, and in fact, I think a great population of the 85% of the people that I'm referring to right now have this concept that within their lifetime, the world as we know it is going to end, which means that Jesus Christ is going to come down from he will descend just as he ascended, and all kinds of some of them are really beautiful, some of them are really cool. I would like to see that, but I don't think it'll happen. And I think the idea of that happening is that we have a great population of voters, people who are involved in social politics, people involved in your life and my life, people involved in the evolution of our species, who think the world is going to end within their lifetime. Now, I'm not going to draw any conclusions from that specifically or personally, but you may understand what I mean when I say that actually has a big effect on what decisions they make, how they behave, how they approach their life, especially in the socio-political perspective, point of view, who they're voting on. Sometimes it can get extreme as the propagation of wars, or some kind of going into the happening of any kind of war. Because they believe the interpretation of Revelation, which is not to be interpreted, it's just to be understood as it is, which would be mythologically and metaphorically. Cite the reference Joseph Campbell earlier, if you want to understand what that would mean from the perspective of a genius, as I would say. But anyway, so they have this interpretation of Revelation where someone told them it's a belief system in and of itself, and that's what they think. Okay, so the world's going to end, so we want Congo to be, reborn as with gold pillars, so they spend, all this money on gold pillars being made in Congo so that they're, so that Jesus does return and they hasten that arrival. Okay, now that was obviously strictly hypothetical, but you understand what I'm saying. This is beliefs, structuralized belief systems and the effect that it has on human evolution. Now, what we want to do is try to avoid that, and this is my belief. We want to avoid that. So how do you do that? Well, get all that shit out your head, man. Green giant, yo ho ho. Boom. Think outside the bun. What's next? Da, 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 da. Well, I don't even know the tune. It's been 3 years. McDonald's, man, especially McDonald's, man, because I boycott McDonald's as much as possible, but hey, they got good burgers, I guess, man. Put sugar in their fries, but never mind, I'm not going to say that on this video, but anyways, he's a clown that does witch and he hangs out with children. Ain't that weird? I don't know. But anyways, there's all kinds of things. All these things are programmed in your head. Just get them out. First thing I would say, just quit watching television. If you have children, I wouldn't let them, but, you don't want them to be any weirder than they are going to be raised by me. So I'm not saying I'm going to raise your kids, I'm going to raise mine. It's probably going to be strange. Of course, if I have kids, they'll probably be like, strictly status quo or something, god awful. But anyways, just get rid of television, man. It may be hard, understand. Those of you Southern football fans out there, that's the one thing that I have a problem with, is you can't watch football, and I can't watch the games. I can't watch the Saints play. But that's it, man. After a while, man, you got your Netflix, your Hulu, select what you choose to watch, man. Don't watch the commercials, all that shit. Deprogram yourself. And think back in the time when your auntie or your uncle who was, half drunk most of the time, or freaking, some kind of weird obsessive about, whatever periods they're saying, whatever weird shit, because I know there's some weird shit going on in your family, At least not mine. At least not mine, you know what I mean? But anyways, never mind, sorry. But, what they program you is, man, just get it out of there. Get it out of your head. And don't be afraid, because the tendency is to be very afraid, you know what I mean? When I first got into the culture of the elder craft, which that's what I refer to. If you know what that is, you do. If you don't, there are words that I don't use because of the stigma, but the tendency is to call it, cult? I'll use that word. When I got into that, man, I was like going from strictly Christian, Bible thumping, Church of Christ, to if you go, let's get naked. And I gotta admit, man, I was scared, but I went ahead and went on. And why I pressed on? That's personal. But I pressed on beyond that, beyond the shadow of a doubt. Eventually getting to the point where I figured, man, if it comes down to it, and I face hell, and I face, whatever this, whatever the big man says, I'm gonna say, man, I have done nothing wrong. I stand before you here. Now, this is my personal opinion. I'm gonna tell God I've done something wrong, because this God knows everything that's right or wrong. You know what I mean? I'd be like telling you that you're not watching a YouTube video. But I would tell you that everything I'm saying is right and exact according to everything that I've done in the frame of reference of this. It's got to be subjective because it's human, and yes, I will go to hell for what I'm doing right now because I feel I've done nothing wrong. In fact, I have done nothing wrong according to the concept that I have free thought, free opinion, and the ability to do what I believe is right every single time. And what I'm doing right now is right, and what I did then is right. So I go on and proceed. But at first it wasn't like that because I was like, no, Jesus don't want me to be naked jumping over the campfire. Just, every holiday if you're a pagan, every holiday they jump over a campfire naked. It's a pagan thing. But anyways, not really. Goddess worship from that, you know what I mean? It was difficult. And you're going to have difficult points in time and you're like, man, I don't know, I'm going to be scared. Well, anyways, be scared and then see through it. Because you know what? Truth is, man, there's no rational reason to think that you're going to be punished for certain things that don't affect anybody. They don't affect anybody but yourself particularly. But even moreover, dude, think about the broad scheme of things. Think about the entirety of this dodecahedron-shaped universe. That's what I think it is. That's what Pythagoras said. But anyways, this whole universe and everything that's going on, and this infinite being who has, if you have the concept yet, that there's a multiverse, which we're thinking theoretically or mathematically is very plausible. There are multiple universes, and there's this one entity that just kind of created it all and has some personality of himself. Now you think about him thinking about you thinking that maybe, just maybe, for the benefit of myself, for the benefit of mankind, for the benefit of the Homo sapiens and the universe as a whole, because the universe reflects what we do individually, that I am going to step outside of thinking that I am a born sinner and that I need the death or the murder of an individual for me to do the right thing, and think, hey, why don't I just do what I believe is best, or what I feel inside. Now, this is not just what I think is best when I think, oh, I should go ahead and, whatever, wear a condom or not wear a condom. I'm talking about what I know inside my heart is to love this individual, whether they're Islamic or not, and to love this individual, whether they're gay or not, and to love myself, even though I have a tendency or propensity towards whatever our propensities are. And to do that because we understand that positive thought, positive thinking, and things of that typicality that I'm referring to, which is a general positivity and self-worth, and understanding that I, myself, am nothing different than that God out there. And as far as there is only one thing with no separation, and I'm thinking here, love and self-respect, brotherly honor, and the fact that I'm not going to steal from somebody, not because something bad is going to happen to me. If I steal money from them, then I'm a bad person, and because of some arbitrary idea that I set up. But if I steal their glasses, I'm just like, he stole the glasses, it's funny, he's getting glasses now. Or because I steal from them, something gets stolen from me, or something bad's going to happen to me, because what good is that? And then you're just a pussy. You just don't do nothing because something bad's going to happen to you. And they say, don't do the crimes, can't do the time? Shit, I'm a 3-time felon, man. Fuck that. Anyways, pardon my language. But, I did my time. Still pay for it, though. American judicial system, video number 12. But anyways, so, you know, get rid of that and just do what is best, what is right, what you know is right. Now, I'm not talking about what you feel or think. I'm not saying do what you feel. I'm saying get rid of your ideas or belief systems and go into this new. And this takes me to the next part of my whole discussion, which is knowledge and what I was referred to earlier as like scientific. Okay, science. Now I'm not saying I only believe in science, and or this atheism science point of view versus creationalism Christian point of view, because I think that's not only is that just parts of America or just America, like the rest of the world doesn't really think one or the other. I mean, that's ridiculous to think those are only two options: Big Bang or creationism. You know, like, dude, I mean, think about this shit, man. To think that those are only two options is ridiculous, man. Anyways, this is it. Get knowledge. Go out there and figure it out for yourself. Okay? Scientific method. That is, first of all, you have a question. Then you have a hypothesis. Everybody's heard that word and knows that word because it was funny. We thought it was funny when we were kids. And that's an idea, like, okay, I have a question, and this is what I think the answer is going to be. It's going to be like this. Then you get data. Then you figure out the facts. Do the knowledge, man. Do the knowledge. Always do the knowledge. And everything that you do the knowledge. You have to do it. They say you do not do nothing by the sweat of your brow. And then you got this other person that says, if you just think of positivity and you change your mind, you can automatically become a millionaire. Now, which one is it? Do the knowledge. Figure it out. That's the work that needs to be done within the mind. And the neuroplasticity of our mind is that once we have this knowledge, we can then make a good objective. What's the next one? Experiment. Okay, so do the knowledge, then experiment. Go out there and try it. And I'm talking, this is the scientific method I'm telling you. I remember learning it in the 4th, 5th, or whatever freaking grade. When I use it on a regular basis. The next is do an experiment. That sounds like a laboratory thing, and usually we have a tendency towards empirical evidence. Now, that's what we call academically, scientifically, we say it is. If it's scientific or it's empirical, it can be reproduced at will, at whim, in a lab or in a natural environment. That's not necessarily, okay, what we have a tendency to do is, you know, cancel out subjectivity. But subjectivity or subjective experience can be considered, which is number 5, results. We used to consider actual verifiable results. If it happened to you, if you did this, did that, did this, it happened to you, so have him once look at it over again, and that brings us to number 6, which is repeat the experiment. Okay? Do it over again. If it happens multiple times, shit, why deny it, man? This is what I'm talking about when I say doing what is right, doing what I feel. This is what I call righteousness, which would be, if it happened to you, come on, man. If it happens to you multiple times and you know you can verify it, ain't nobody can tell you wrong because it actually happened multiple times and you looked over it and thought, well, what about this option? You know, you took out all the variables like a good scientist does, right? Then you know, that's freaking real, man. It doesn't matter if you're a philosopher, if you're a professor, or if you're a damn drug addict, or if you're damn whatever. You know what I mean? Black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter if it happens subjectively. Who am I or anybody else to tell you that shit didn't go down? Okay, so that's what it is. Use those 5 steps in everything that you do. After a period of time, you'll start to realize that that's actually, or you'll stop realizing that there is 6 steps to this scientific method, and you have a tendency to just do it that way. Alright? You know, I involve myself in a culture of people who, you know, sometimes call each other scientists, man, because they try to make everything in reference to exactly what they can do according to that measurement that I just gave you, which is just a frame of reference, not a belief system, but it's just something that you can go by, or the acclimation or the accumulation, pardon yourself, of knowledge, man. So that's what it is. First you do the knowledge, and you do what? You act on it. You do the wisdom. Then you act on it. And if something comes along, even though you've been doing this for most of your life, if something comes along and you're like, man, wait a minute, maybe I'm wrong this whole time. That's a hard thing for an individual to face. But take it on boldly. Do not go quietly into that something night, whatever that is. Do not go softly into the night. You know what I'm talking about. Some of the more seasoned individuals know what I'm referencing, right? Those who saw the never mind, I can't think of his name, so never mind. Anyways, Rodney Dangerfield goes back to college, and it's like, he recites that poem, "Do not go silently into the cold night," or whatever it is, I don't know. Anyways, something that's really obscure. But anyways, yeah, that's how you need to do it. You just go ahead, man. Just keep on. Because what's the worst can happen? Go to hell? Man, talk to the right people out here, it's not really that bad. Talk to a schizophrenic individual, or at least an individual who has been diagnosed as schizoaffective, and I can tell you, in my mind, I've seen and conjured up and believed and actually experienced, in as far as visceral as this video could be, even more visceral than that, and more visceral than most things that I've seen much, much worse than what most people consider to be hell. So that's the worst that can happen, right? I don't care, well, that's pretty bad, I guess. I always have a tendency to ask, what's the worst that can happen? But fuck it, because you know what? You're a strong individual. Fuck it, you're American. Fuck it, you're not a pussy. And you know what? You're going to do what is right, regardless of what the cost may be, and a hypothetical outcome that's just as fabricated as the belief that you may have, because your second grade teacher who had an issue with her husband said, you should never, ever, ever talk bad to girls. And you believe that. Okay? So do you understand what I'm saying about belief systems? Concept is this. Let it go. Let it go. Quit being afraid of hell and quit anticipating heaven. Bhagavad Gita says, do not avoid pain nor pardon myself, man. Looking like a fool. Seek not pleasure nor avoid pain. In fact, man, if you ask an individual who made this little flick, if you actually made it this far through the damn boring ass thing, I'll tell you that Bhagavad Gita is a good way to go. Krishna is just the coolest. And that leaves me. What am I? Well, some will call me polytheistic. I'm more like a pantheist, but I don't adhere anything except for two culture sets, which is two curriculums of thought, which is just knowledge in which I can go from. But they're not belief systems, and at any point in time, they're subject to change, particularly the latter. And I'm going to go ahead and put myself out there and say one is the other craft, and the other one is, we'll say I'm in this religion of the NGE. Okay, we'll put it out there like that. You can check those out, the other craft, NGE. But I'm sure you're not interested in what the hell I'm doing. In fact, it's entirely irrelevant. And if I could do video editing, I might cut it out, because this is not a personal thing. It's an idea about Americans that need to get up right now and say, look, man, there's something going on here, and we don't like it. And more of us are starting to say, what is going on here? We have that uneasy feeling. If you're into politics in any way, you may have that uneasy feeling after you see any damn thing that these so-called politicians do. You know what I mean? We got like 1% of the population that owns all the wealth, 10% of the population that is controlling the the majority of the population by just keeping them stupid, blind to themselves, and believing in something that they cannot see, which I'm referring right now as a belief or structuralized belief systems that we don't need to have. Because what? It's the year 2012. And because what? We have our minds. I believe it was Thoreau, but I don't know, I like Thoreau, so I'll maybe just be giving him credit. But he said, I am not obligated to believe, maybe it was Benjamin Franklin, I'm not obligated to believe that the Lord above, that you call God, gave me logic, reason, a personality, a sense of right and wrong, gave me a heart, gave me all these things, and, I'm a smart motherfucker, and the ability of free choice. I do not believe, or I'm not obligated to believe that he gave me all those things simply to deny them all because of what one book or what you said. General, not you watching this video, because you wouldn't do that. But anyways, that's the concept. Now, I feel like there was a third thing that I'm not referring to now. Oh yeah, objectivity. Just think about this, man. It's a hard subject to follow. But I'm going to wrap it up because it's already been like 3.5 billion hours that I've been talking. But look at quantum physics as much as you can. It expands your mind. Don't go ahead and derive all these ideas like The Secret and what to do we know. Okay, man. Like what I say, do the knowledge. Those are a little bit magical, mystical, You know, it's like listening to the Beatles if you want to learn about Hinduism, which I don't suggest, but it's a good place to start, I reckon. Just as any, as long as you do the knowledge and do not hold on to structuralized belief systems. What the idea is to look objectively, and this is the point of this video. We as a species have been around for much, much longer than they would have us believe. Now, it ain't been 6,000 years. In fact, some would believe, or some would argue very, very strongly, that simply the race of what you would call Caucasians or white individuals, if you were to look at it from the perspective that there's black all the way to white, all the races, and that the most, because we were all originally black, we can actually argue that, and the furthest away from that, which would be the entirety of the human species in reference to races, is only 6,000 years old, so our history could not be as humans only 6,000 years old. 75,000 years is the typical idea between like when we left Africa. 75,000 years, but we have actual archaeological. Now I'm going off and I digress. We have archaeological findings that are older than that are just as majestic as some of the things we find in Sumeria or the root of civilization, where we don't even know what they did. Plain and simple, we still don't know how they made the pyramids. Do you know the pyramids were on top gold? One was red, one was black, one was white? Probably not. Maybe. But anyways, there's a lot of things that we don't know how they did. But we look into mythology and different things. Now, I know mythology is just blah, 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 blah. But it's really weird when every culture of all the world, throughout the entirety of the history that we know of, say something about dragons, and we're like, oh, there's all mythological, whatever, man. That brings up dinosaurs. Dinosaurs existed with man. And just anyways, my point is, fuck what they tell you. What they're telling you is what they think, and what you really believe is what you know, because you did the knowledge, because you listened to my lies. No, I'm just joking. I was about to go off into some crap. I'm just joking. I ain't nothing. If you watched this video and you stood through it, hoorah, hoorah, that's good. Just go out there and do knowledge. It takes work, but maybe not by the sweat of your brow, by the fucking wrinkles in your brain. Do it, because that is what's right. That's what's right. Two, now I'm not sitting here telling you what's right and what's wrong, but what's right is to do what's right. What's right is self ... That's just my opinion, and I'm rambling now, so the pills must have kicked in, so hit you up on a flip. Peace.